this expired at the end of 2020, and we would like to renew this either with the current farmer that's there or any other farmer that could do better for us. So I'm asking for permission to go out for an RFP.
Motion is made by legislator Decker, seconded by legislator Healy. Discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Healy.
does that bid that we're asking for, does that also include proof of insurance by the leasee?
It would.
Okay, so that's one of the conditions of the bid terms would be that the insurance is required?
Yes.
Thank you.
And Mrs. Hopkins?
Madam Administrator, what is the current rent per
Off the top
acre?
of my head, do you remember? 3,300 a quarter. 3,300 a quarter, we're pretty sure. We could look that up in a few
No,
minutes.
3,300 a year, it was a 5-year.
For the full 19 acres? Thank you.
That would be more implied.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was $3,300 a year for
Yeah.
5 years.
Thank you.
And this, once you get the bids back, and we'll have discussion, and then there would be a resolution moving
Correct.
forward with that if we get bids that are acceptable.
Correct.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. And I believe you have one other item to discuss.
So my second item of business is a request for a resolution to close the county offices for transaction of business on April 2nd of this year. This was an idea I floated around last week regarding setting up an appreciation day for our employees, a day where they could pretty much have off that's in addition to their accruals and extra for all the extraordinary effort they put forth this past year. So I was able to meet with most everyone I needed to meet with since last week and work this out, that I think it's a very viable project. And I would be asking to come off the floor with us today.
Thank you. Is there a motion to get this for discussion? Made by Mr. Havey, seconded by Mr. Curran. Discussion? Mrs. Burdick?
I believe there is a vaccination clinic that Friday, and because I know all the people that had their first shots this Friday, they have a second clinic so there's quite few people from the Department of Health that are affected, and I mean, obviously, you're never gonna find a day that everybody's gonna be, but are they aware of this, and can they let as many people have the day off as possible?
So I spoke to Tyler Shaw, who's our Department of Health Director, and he thought that this would be possible. Everyone he needs, and there are some staff from other departments that might also volunteer to work that day, would be given another day off, and they could use it. I think we set May 8th as the cutoff date. So we want everybody to take a day away from the office within that month, even if they have to work on April 2nd. And I did speak with the union reps for the NISNA and AFSCME and PEF that usually have people down there, so.
Just one more comment. I assume this will be released to the public, and does something need to be said to make sure those people understand that vaccination clinic is still going to be held?
We will have a press release. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to come off the floor today, is that we would have almost a month to get information out to the public on what services will remain open. For instance, our courts, although they don't have court scheduled, it is not a court holiday, they are open, so that people that need to access the courts could do that. There are some other things that we'll need to make sure are well advertised.
That would include Department of Motor Vehicles, too?
I don't believe the Department of Motor Vehicles will be open that day.
Okay, thank you.
Further discussion? All in favor of moving this forward to the full board, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. And that will be coming off the floor this afternoon. Our county attorney Jeff Donegan is seeking permission to retain additional legal counsel. And I don't know if there is any further explanation than what we have in the memorandum of explanation here. Our county administrator, do you
I
have
can
anything to add, or?
I can speak to that. Mr. Donegan's in court at the moment, so he's not able to explain himself. There is one single matter regarding the Department of Health and enforcing an executive order that we need to respond to in Erie County, and this feels like this is the most efficient way to do that, so he is asking permission to retain outside counsel.
We have a motion to get this on the floor.
Chairman, Legislator Healy will make that motion.
Motion made and seconded, made by Mr. Healy, seconded by Mrs. Root. Discussion. This is a firm that we have not used, I don't believe, at least in recent history.
We have not used them before. Mr. Donegan's familiar with them, and they have good expertise in this area.
And this being a service that goes outside of needing any particular RFP, and that it's a professional service.
Yes.
And I believe that we are have with our county attorney have that set up so that he could go to outside counsel free of that
Correct.
anyway, I believe. But,
Correct.
But anyways, it's covered in more ways than one.
This was a different counsel we have not used before. I thought that he should come forward with an MOE.
Very good.
And this is, Legislator
Mr.
Healy
Healy.
again, this is consistent with our past practice of using outside counsel when we feel the need to obtain expertise in certain areas that we might not have in-house, and also that it's more cost efficient. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Further discussion? Mr. Decker?
Legislator Decker, is this, I see the rate here at $2.95 an hour. Is this firm going to be representing other districts at the same time in this lawsuit? I see this is a statewide lawsuit because it's against the governor.
I don't believe so. In speaking to Mr. Donegan, I believe they will only be representing us, and I believe the only other parties are the other counties within our region, so Chautauqua, Cattaraugus, Erie, Niagara, and then the state would have the Attorney General. So I believe each county has picked someone of their choosing to respond. And obviously, most of those counties are better staffed than our county attorney's office at this point. They might be handling it internally.
Okay, thank you.
I guess one more question.
Yes. Mr. Healy?
This could result in a benefit to Allegheny County to the lawsuit itself, or no?
Probably not.
Probably not. Okay, thank you.
I would say that this action would put into place what our county attorney is advising for, and I'm sure that there, when appropriate, we can have an attorney-client session and have some more specific questions as it relates to this.
Correct.
Further discussion? Ready for the question? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Motion is carried. Next we have, next we have Clerk of the Board, Brenda Rigby-Reilly, and looking for acceptance of insurance check. I think that's fairly straightforward. Amount of $450. Do we have a motion for that, made by Mrs. Root, seconded by Mr. Curran? Discussion? Brenda, anything we need to know? we're always glad to get, accept monies, even if it's $450 for insurance.
This did cover the entire cost of the repair, and I don't have any additional comments.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion is carried. We have referrals from other committees, several from Human Services Committee. And I think I'll look to Mrs. Hopkins, if, as chairman of that, if you could move some of those forward.
Be happy to. Social Services Commissioner Edna Kays is requesting a resolution to accept and appropriate a donation of wraparound funding from the Allegheny County Area Foundation, Western New York COVID-19 Community Response Fund for the Child Advocacy Center in the amount of $2,500, and I will move that.
Motion is made by Legislator Hopkins. Is there a second? By Legislator Curran. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
Secondly, Public Health Director Tyler Shaw is requesting to transfer funds in the amount of $1,500 from A4, the regular pay account, to the WIC conference expense. Due to the COVID-19, all conferences were canceled, but this has subsequently decided to have this conference, this virtual WIC training, and we would like permission for 5 staff to participate in that at a cost of $1,500, and I'll move that.
Motion made by Legislator Hopkins, seconded by Legislator Root. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
Mr. Shaw is requesting a resolution to accept and appropriate performance incentive initiative funds for the general fund for the 2021 budget year. This was awarded to Allegheny County by the New York State Department of Health and was based on expedited partner therapy for the treatment of chlamydia trachomatis infection. These will be utilized to replace the existing vaccination refrigerator freezer, as well as purchase insurance card scanners and other office equipment. The amount of the award is $14,515, and I will move that.
Motion made by Legislator Hopkins, seconded by Legislator Havey. What infection was that again, Mrs. Hopkins?
Something to do with chlamydia.
I just can't resist those things.
And what was that, Mr. Chair? Could you say that again?
I was wondering what that infection was.
No, I want to know what the infection was.
Yeah. That can be looked up in the MOE, I'm sure.
Yes.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay, I don't think there are any pronunciation issues in this next one. Mr. Shaw from the Health Department is requesting a resolution authorizing the Health Department to apply for the Allegheny County Area Foundation grant. This grant will assist in procuring personal protection equipment, materials for the COVID-19 rapid testing clinics, as well as the vaccination sites. And I will move that. The amount is $5,750. I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong. It's $14,515. Skip down a page. And I'll move that.
Motion made by Legislator Hopkins, seconded by Legislator Root. Discussion? I was looking for the amount on that.
It's for-
There isn't one, is there?
No wonder I couldn't get the right one then. I thought we had an amount the other day.
It's like 1,500 on MOE,
Yeah.
1,500. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And number 5, the Office of the Aging Director, Anita Madison, is requesting a resolution to accept and appropriate a donation in the amount of $5,750 from the Western New York COVID Community Response Fund. This will be used to support increased volume and cost for home-delivered meals. And you can see the way it's dispersed there. And again, the amount is $5,750, and I'll move that.
Motion is made by legislator Hopkins, seconded by legislator Curran. Discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Decker.
it says that this is for home-delivered meals, and I'm curious what maintenance and general supplies have to do with home-delivered meals, or what's under that category that they're using this for?
I do not know what falls under maintenance and supplies for that. I don't know if anyone else can answer that.
Mr. Chairman, that technically is not the title of that .408. That 408 is a title that's general supplies, not maintenance. If you give me a minute, I'll look at the
Well, it says,
MOE.
it says general supplies 1,400 and maintenance 4,350.
Right, the maintenance should be 404 in the resolution instead of 408. And general maintenance is, probably they were able to get some cost. Usually that's for, maintenance of the cars or maintenance of a copier, or that's what falls underneath that maintenance line. So I'm assuming that it's probably maintenance of the vehicles that they use to transport the meals.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
And finally, Ms. Madison requested a resolution to transfer funds in the amount of $1,500 within the unmet needs budget. This is due to the changes in personnel over the past year, as well as increased demand for ancillary supplies to improve accessibility, helping to keep seniors in their homes longer. The funds are $1,500 to be moved from the expanded in-home services for elderly program to the unmet needs grant 2019 equipment line. I'll move that.
Motion is made by Mrs. Hopkins, seconded by Mr. Havy. Discussion? budget, so I would assume that's probably not left
Right,
over,
the
but part of
state's
it. County treasurer
Budget
might
doesn't
have
end
it.
up until end of March, right?
Yeah,
Correct, I
our
believe-
county treasurer might help us out.
Yes, Chairman Crandall. This is a new award. They are usually a year behind for the year that they are designated for. So these are funds that probably came from the 2020 collections. And I don't know how they name them, but this has not been applied for before.
So this is probably a federal
This is new
funds
money.
passed through the state that they're a year behind, is that, or no?
I don't know the distribution of them and how that happens, but these are funds that are new monies. This is new monies. We have not applied for this funding. I mean, we've applied for this funding source before, but not for this designated year.
So it's safe to say that there's more money out there that they're just taking part of it and giving it to us now? Is that,
I think this is the same cycle that we've used before. So last year at this time, you were probably approving an application for the 19 funding source.
This is,
Mr. Healy?
okay?
yes, this involves ongoing funding that's probably been around for at least 10 years I know of. I think that's probably about when it started, for upgrades to our entire 911 radio system, to the benefit of our fire, ambulance, and police services in our county. And I'm all for taking all the money we can get from the state or elsewhere to bring it in for that purpose, so.
I believe so, and this, it was originally to be distributed just like this, what we would be applying for. And the counties have always taken a position that we haven't gotten our fair share of it back. The state has utilized those funds or hung on to them. And I may be wrong, but I'm thinking it's in the $90 to $100 million a year they get, and then they dole out, as you can see, this is 10% of that. So a very small amount that comes back directly to the counties.
And we won't know what we're getting until after we apply for it. They'll tell us how much we're getting.
Yeah, I'm not sure when the awards are, but
Have we allowed for this revenue, Terry, in the past? What did we get in 2019?
I don't have that in front of me. I would have to look that up, but yes, we have. And once the sheriff is awarded the dollar amount, they will come back and we'll do a budget adjustment.
He did have last year's dollar amount on his MOE. It was 130,863.
further discussion?
I'm all for taking state money or federal money.
I'd phrase it the other way. It's getting our money back. It's
Well,
our money.
It's our
They're
money.
taking and keeping.
Right, you're correct.
Correct. Well, if we can agree to apply for some of this, we'll take the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion is carried. And Public Works,
That's you, John.
we have, the chairman of that committee is not here that sits on Public Works. Public Works Superintendent Justin Henry is requesting the following adjustments be made to the 2021 budget to appropriate the federal, state, and local aid to cover the cost of the Genesee River, Town of Wellsville, the Weidrich Road bridge. And you can see the figures on that MOE. And if we could have a motion to move forward with that. Made by Mrs. Root, seconded by Mr. Curran. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. That is all I have for referrals unless I'm missing something. Under old business, is there anything to discuss?
I have the amount of that lease for our agricultural land was $3,333.33 a year. A lot of threes.
Thank you.
But it wasn't over 3 years. It was over 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was a 5-year too.
And if there's nothing else under old business, we'll move to new business. I think that Mr. Decker had something he wanted to bring up, and actually was going to bring it up at last time that we met, and
Ran out of time.
we timed out. So you have 3 minutes, Mr. Decker. No,
Thank you
go
very
ahead.
much, Mr. Chairman.
The floor is
A lot of
yours.
threes today.
Yeah.
But number 8 on the agenda, new business, I would like to propose a resolution going forward to intercounty and on up to our representatives and so forth to open up the county immediately. We have a leader of our state that can't take care of anything, so why should we be under his thumb? We're one of the poorest counties in the state. I think we're 4th. And we need to get restaurants back operating. There's one right on our corner, two doors up from me. And they're still doing takeout because they don't have enough indoor seating that she can hire people to wait tables and bus tables and dishwasher so that she can't serve enough meals. She can serve more takeout because it reduces the amount of staff that she has to pay. And I know this is the case in a lot of instances. And as I said, I would like to propose this resolution and let the people in Albany know how disgusted we are with the way things are going.
The one example that you gave is restaurants. There are a number of other things that are regulated under the executive orders and what has come about with COVID-19.
Exactly.
And I guess to have something that's in writing or being addressed in that, I think that certainly we'd want something that knows what we're voting on, and is it opening immediately, or it's a suggestion to the governor and to the state representatives that we want things to be opened immediately, not
Mr.
only
Chairman?
in Allegheny County, but
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
I have a
Mr. Graves.
concern. Yeah, I agree with Mr. Decker.
I'm
I
just
think-
clarifying what he's asking
Yeah,
for.
I agree with the argument. I'm sick of being with the masks and all that kind of thing, the hand sanitizer and all the rest of it. But I think before we did anything, we'd want to have the support of the Board of Health and our own health department. I don't think we should be reckless about this. We can be impassioned about issues, and I'm right there with you. But when it comes to a formal resolution and dotting all the i's and crossing the t's, I think we ought to do it with the advice and consent of our Board of Health and the Health Department. Thank you.
Correct. Yeah, this is just the start of the discussion. That's all I'm proposing. We need to have those people on board. We need to, the schools, the kids aren't, in class. I heard one the other day, Whitesville, I guess, has operated 5 days a week since the start. That was what I was told by someone that works in the Whitesville School District. And yet the other schools are not operating totally. So it's a mixed bag across the county, across the region, across the state. And
Well, these, I guess, things that are what's regulated under those particular executive orders go beyond what we have a say of here in this room. But again, you're looking for a resolution that would be calling upon the governor and the state legislature to move forward with doing away with those executive orders, opening up New York State, Allegheny County, with no regulations along those lines.
Correct.
And they did, I see, just took, I think it was Friday, and you can have an opinion on what impact that legislation has had with reducing the executive powers of the governor. Some say it hasn't, but, and others will point to, but it puts in place steps or procedure to change or extend those orders. But anyways, I think that if it's gonna come before the board, you're gonna have, certainly we wanna have something that's a draft resolution that says what you're asking for, so that we can look at that. And I think I would agree that there's a lot of, I don't want to say homework, but input from others that know what those ramifications would be well beyond us in this room, I think, so.
Correct.
Mr. Havey?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with Mr. Decker. I think that we have endured this a really long time. I think what he's saying, and I think what I could support, is that the rules that we're under to open our county and open the state should be driven by medical professionals and not politicians. I think if you take the politics out of it, I think that would be fine, and that would be something I could support. Thank you.
That means taking us out of it?
No, we're the good guys.
Couldn't help it. Is that something that that you want to work on, Mr. Decker, or how do you see this
I'd be glad
moving
to
forward?
Work on it, and
There's-
when if anybody wants to help,
Do we know if there's resolutions like this that have moved forward through either inter-county or to NISAC that have called on a complete, let's pull the curtain down, move forward here? Mr. Harris, are you aware of anything?
Nothing's come through Intercounty.
Thank you.
has there been any talk of it, Mr. Harris?
No, I'm sure it's a concept that would find support among that membership, but nothing's come to us yet.
Well, is there anything further on that other than reduced or into writing and put on a, resolution, or at least some kind of a memorandum of explanation so we know what we're headed for? Is that fair?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mrs. Hopkins?
I think it's important to have discussion, but I would be opposed to anything that would go against the Board of Health or the Department of Health recommendations and not take into account the recommendations of all of our school districts and businesses. We do not want to go backwards in this. We've reached a really good point of health, I would say, in the county, and we don't want to lose that. So I would agree with Mr. Graves' opinion that it needs to coincide from our Board of Health and Department of Health. Thank you.
Exactly. I wasn't eliminating anybody.
Yeah, Mr. Healy?
Yes, I'm imagining that probably be the advice of our legal counsel too. Is that correct? That we wouldn't counter any of the directives of the public health board or the state health department. Thank you.
You're Mr.
With-
Graves? Yeah.
We're muted, yeah. I think it would be helpful to have Jones Memorial and Cuba Memorial, those two hospitals behind us in that effort too.
Looks like there's some homework to be done.
Yeah.
Further discussion? And we will look forward to something that's in writing with direction, and assuming that proper homework would be done before it gets, circles back, so.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anything else for, under new business? Good of the order?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Healy?
we'll have a caucus immediately following this meeting in this room.
All right. Motion to adjourn, made by Mrs. Root, seconded by Mr. Havy. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.